Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News, and major news coming out of the Sentinels camp today, with Zombs revealing that Sentinels should be a threat come the last chance qualifier based on the bracket they presently have. Shroud has though revealed that he's enjoying the bootcamp so much in his return to competitive play, this time in Valorant, that he plans to keep competing in competitive Valorant for the near future in the franchise era. Will that be with Sentinels or not though? That is a question that remains to be seen. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty though also to discuss today. Firstly, in the EMEA side, we have the confirmation of the bracket over there for the last chance qualifier as well. Again, only one team here from EMEA qualifiers. Kind of surprising to me in a way that there are so limited spots for North America and EMEA. I'm pretty sure like South America, Brazil, they only have like 3 or 4 spots between them, whereas EMEA, for example, after having of course FPX and Fnatic, they're going to go automatically. Only one of these teams will qualify. So out of G2, OG London, M3C, Ascend, Team Liquid, BBL, Guild, and Na'Vi, I'm pretty sure only one of these teams gets through. So a rather similar bracket, of course, to what we have in North America. But yeah, these are the first round games. Definitely looking at M3C Ascend, looking at Guild, Na'Vi, I think is kind of nice as well. And it's rather tough to call between M3C, Ascend, Liquid, Guild, even G2, like, which of those teams are going to come out on top. G2 are an interesting organization because they, of course, have their current team that they're going to stick by for now, but the rumor has it that ideally G2 would like to be part of the North American Franchise League next season. Whether that can possibly come to fruition, whether Riot agrees or says, no G2, we don't want you in NA, we want you back in EU. So I'm pretty sure G2 have applied for both, or at least are planning to. If they don't get the NA spot, they want to get a European spot, but it's possible that G2 can actually be a North American based team next season with an entirely different roster. So maybe this LCQ will decide something as to which players they might necessarily keep. This also to mention, because of course the last few days it's not been looking so good for the tier 2 ecosystem in Valorant. We've seen many organizations pull out and academy rosters dropped because a lot of these orgs don't really know what's next for tier 2, because if they didn't get accepted into franchising, then is there actually any return on investment for these guys to stay around in Valorant? Now the Ignition series, which happened quite a while ago, is returning again after Champion, so we are still seeing some tier 2 supports happen, and I think the Riot will make their support for that increasingly clear over time to make it actually sensible for organizations to stay around in the tier 2 scene and actually be able to profit from it, right? Because so far a lot of organizations are like, well, we're not really sure what to do, we want to stay around, the likes of Saw Gaming, and I think it was even BBG, built by gamers, that were like, yeah, we want to stay in Valorant, but we're not really sure if this is actually worthwhile. So things like this definitely make it seem like Riot has a plan for keeping the tier 2 scene alive. The Guard also, they're trying to make their attempt to make sure they don't have to be a tier 2 team and they can actually be there in franchising, doing everything. A lot of these organizations pretty much doing everything they can to prove they are a franchise partnership worthy team for next season and get selected by Riot to be one of those teams. They've shortlisted probably, I don't know how many teams they'll shortlist, right? Maybe like 16 or so from the Americas, and then cut that down to 10 or 12 when it actually comes to making the call. They're going to do interviews and discussions with a lot of these guys. The Guards, I believe, are through to that next stage, but well, they're looking for another analyst to join their roster as well, in addition to their coach that we saw a few days ago. So the Guard are looking to try and get back to the levels that they were at during stage 1, where they were briefly the best team in North America. Fell off pretty massively in stage 2. It's kind of difficult to tell what version of the Guard we're going to get here going into the LCQ, because they do play Sentinels in the very first round. That could be rather spicy. Now FE's from V1, he's come out with his bracket. Of course, many players are trying to predict what is going to happen here, but I thought this one was particularly interesting just because, as he says, if scrims have any meaning, this is 100% accurate. So saying that from what he's seen in scrims, this is how good the teams are. So I guess instead of looking at the brackets, we'll just kind of look at the placings and see that based on the teams that version 1 has been scrimming, who should be better and who's worse. So he has the top 2 teams based on North American present scrims, as FaZe Clan and Cloud9 having FaZe the best team in North America at this LCQ. Then he has XLG, now Shahzam Rebellion, as the 3rd best team, then Evil Geniuses 4th, then 5th and 6th NRG and Sentinels, and then the last 2 teams, the Guard and 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves is a particularly interesting one to me. The other placements are maybe reasonable. 100 Thieves being the worst team, at least on scrim information, is rather interesting. But he does also have Sentinels beating the Guard here in round 1, which could be a pretty big deal, because if Sentinels are right now the better team than the Guards, that could potentially kickstart a rather nice bracket for them. And Zombs says here in a second that he doesn't particularly rate Cloud9 or LG either, XLG, Shahzam Rebellion, with their potential as well. Now 100 Thieves aren't necessarily convinced. Bang says here, oh okay, and then Asuna says, they cancel every scrim against us, then have the nerve to tweet this despicable despicable. So maybe Asuna saying that really, like, version 1 haven't really scrimped under thieves that much to actually know how good they are, but I thought it was interesting to look into regardless. Tarek has a rather different approach on what he's expecting to see at this event. He's got Sentinels winning. Shroud will bring NA back to where we belong. Find the final script below. So we've got Sentinels making the easy winners bracket run. 100 Thieves coming second place here. FaZe third. Cloud9 fourth. The Guard 6th, and so with NRG. And then Shopify Rebellion and EG coming top 8. But of course, this may well not actually be how things transpires. But Shroud agrees that, with this bracket that Tarek has produced. But Shroud last night on stream was talking about the kind of impact of the bootcamp and the fact that seemingly he's enjoyed what he's currently doing an awful lot, right? And maybe it's inspired to some degree like a competitive drive within him once again, where he actually wants to keep competing in the competitive Valorant scene going forward. So he says, look, if next year franchising is in Los Angeles, as it probably will be, at least based out of there, that's where he lives, then he will still plan to compete next season. Whether that's on Sentinels, whether they want to keep him, whether Sentinels as an organization is even there to be a part of, is another question mark entirely.
If franchising is a thing, and it's in LA, is where I live, there's a very good chance I will continue to play professional Valorant. Is it with Sentinels? I don't know. Are they in franchising? I don't know. I have no idea.
Now, I don't follow the NALCS, right, or the League of Legends side, but I did look this up because, of course, really what Riot's doing here with franchising in North American Valorant is semi-similar to what's happened in the LCS. It's not exactly the same, right, because this is a partnership league or whatever, so it's not franchising, but you don't have to buy in, for example, but it's a relatively similar idea. Now, the NALCS studio, from what I can see here on Google, I might be wrong about this, but it seems like it's in Los Angeles, right? We see the Olympic Boulevards, Los Angeles, California, which, of course, makes a fair bit of sense, right? A lot of these kind of companies are based out there anyway, and of course that's where Shroud lives, so you would think that it makes a fair bit of sense also for whatever Riot's franchise Valorant League is going to be. If they're going to do these similar league games on LAN, then they might well host them at a venue such as this, in and around this area in California, where of course Shroud is very local to, so he could potentially still stick around. So that of course seems to be a potential possibility, so Shroud seems rather confident that might well be the case. If that is of course the case, then Shroud probably will stick around in competitive Valorant going forward, which is quite something, because initially it seemed like he might just step in here for the LCQ, see how he goes, see if he's good, if he's bad, maybe he plays champions, like maybe that's even possible. But even if they don't qualify, if he does well, then like honestly, if he turns up here and does well, then teams that might honestly have a bit of a bidding war here for Shroud, because he might stick on Sentinels if they want to keep him. But then again, any other organization, like if Shroud is looking very competent in his role, and also he's Shroud, right, and all the additional benefits and content and this type of stuff that he brings, then Shroud might have a bit of a bidding war going on its hands to keep him on their roster next season, right? It will be interesting what he decides to do if he stays on Sentinels, or like if he goes for the bag route and try and catches the biggest bag, or if he joins a team that wants him, then actually could really succeed at the highest level. So it'll be spicy to really think about how this progresses going forwards, but Shroud is indicating his intention to keep playing even if it's not on Sentinels next year. But it might well be, because if they do well here at the LCQ, you do wonder whether they probably want to keep him around regardless. But of course, a fair bit of work ahead of the Sentinels guys to turn this ship around, because as a Trick says right here, points out, this is the current rankings in North America for the best teams in the world, at least in the North American side. And Sentinels of their recent performances are now actually 15th apparently in North America, behind Oxygen Academy, Knight, Dark Ratio, and then the Guard, version 100T, Shopify Rebellion, Ghost, EG, Cloud9, NRG, FaZe, xNed, OpTic are the top ones, as you might well expect. But yes, Sentinels 15th best in North America apparently according to the rankings. That's probably not fully accurate to their new roster, especially if what Zombs has to say holds any weight. He's looking at the bracket they currently have and is saying yes, he's going to be doing kind of watch parties for the LCQ, going to be supporting the Sentinels guys, and looking at their bracket and saying that actually he thinks they've got a rather achievable bracket, saying that the Guards should certainly be beatable. Like yes, if they're the stage 1 Guards, probably not, but on recent Guards might well be the case. And then saying that maybe Cloud9 or Shopify Rebellion also aren't that good, to the point where Sentinels, if they are actually a good team as they were intending to be, could well make the winners finals without too much difficulty.
Who am I rooting for? Sentinels, of course. Sentinels actually could qualify, bro. They have like a really easy bracket, I'm not gonna lie. Or they could at least make it to... They can make it to upper bracket finals like really easy. Like the 2 matches they have to play to get to upper bracket finals, like, shouldn't be that crazy. They're actually good. If Sentinel's actually good, they should be able to get to upper bracket finals.
If they were to win that first series and then go on to beat either Cloud9 or Shopify Rebellion, they would be guaranteed top 3 at the minimum. That would, of course, put them in a pretty nice spot to make the grand finals, try and actually get the job done. They're going to play from the bootcamp. They've got that advantage in their hand as well. Of course, other teams are going to do that as well. It's difficult to say, right? Because when Shroud joined, the initial discussion was, okay, are they serious? Right? Are they actually trying to win? Are they really trying to build a team capable of this? And then when Zeltis comes in, and then, of course, Raucus, they bring in some more analysts. Like, it does seem like they're really giving this a good go. So hopefully the team's actually good. After all the talk about them the last few weeks, with Zombs that seems to believe they certainly have a great chance of doing exactly that. And I wanted to mention this from Chet, so he comes up with his NALCQ prediction. Thought this is rather interesting, just because yesterday we saw Chet say that FaZe were getting heavily underrated in a bracket that had FaZe finishing 4th. He only has them finishing 3rd. So I'm kind of confused exactly who's heavily underrating them if he's got them 3rd, rather than, I mean, the other guy had them 4th and he was like, yeah, you're heavily underrating FaZe, and now they've got them 3rd anyway. But this is the bracket. He's got Sentinels getting double rounded here, right? He's got no faith in Sentinels making the run. He's got the guard, then Cloud9 making the finals. NRG actually his dark horse pick, right? So there's a few teams here. I think FaZe are certainly going to be there or thereabouts. They should be up there with the favorites. Then there's 100 Thieves, I think will be decent. I'm not sure they'll be quite good enough. And then NRG are another team that I do really like. I really like that NRG squad. I'm just not sure they've got quite enough firepower, but maybe this tournament they'll prove everyone wrong. And he's hopping heavily on board the NRG train, but really, from what it seems to me, no one actually knows what's going on here, right? So yeah, definitely enjoy your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button and tell us the YouTube gods it's a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Valorant community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.